I'm disappointed in you. You know exactly what you did. Shame on you. You're not gonna answer for yourself? You didn't subscribe. That's right. A large percentage of you people haven't subscribed. You come up into my office and you're like, hey, dance monkey, dance. And so I dance and you don't subscribe? I don't know what. I just figured I'd just do like a stupid intro video for subscribing. Welcome, scholars, and those who are new. Subscribe now and you can be a scholar as well. And I'll call you a scholar every day until I forget, which happens quite often. Shh. Anyway, scholars, welcome back to the counselor's office. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. Yes, different intro. Got to keep you on your toes, and me too. Except I'm not on my toes. I'm sitting down. Boy, have we talked so much about Marathon and Destiny and Bungie, but a lot of information has been coming out, and I'm working on a video kind of cataloging all together. But just to kind of like touch the biggest emotional impact that is coming out, like it seems like every year there's like layoffs or something happens and people come out and like, yeah, this is what's going on in the company. And you kind of scratch your head wondering, why do you continue to work there? Just like people continue to ask, why do you continue supporting Bungie? Why do you keep playing their games? Well, there's people who still work there. It makes me wonder, why are you still working there? But a lot of information's come out. Destin does a lot of reporting. He's not really up the butt of Bungie. So I like checking out people who isn't, they're not like an exactly like in someone's pocket. That's what I get at. I like outside sources that aren't going to be immediately biased to, hey, I'm here to defend Bungie. I would like more of the neutral stance, to be honest. You don't have to be pro what I think, just neutral so you can see both sides. And you're not a paid shill. That's my biggest thing. So we're going to watch a video called Inside Bungie's Decline, Former Devs Speak Out. So we're going to see.
For the last several days, Bungie has been bearing the brunt of the backlash for the Marathon art theft allegations, and rightfully so.
A lot, yeah.
In my opinion, the entire aesthetic of the game is clearly inspired by the artist Anti-Real to the...
We're 12 seconds in and I actually disagree. I know. It's very controversial. I am very fair. I want to say I'm very fair. I'm very critical of Bungie, but I am fair where fair is. Did they steal everything from Anti-Real? Is it 100% aesthetic? Like, I think it's inspired, but the reality is that perception is reality. And when you have people like Destin and the mass gaming audience who sees this, they put it together and bundle everything together as you stole artwork, therefore the entire aesthetic is stolen. Though, if we're being fair, that's not true. But they did steal one for one art. And again, I'm not defending them because fuck Bungie, they deserve it. But I am going to be fair where fair is at. They didn't steal an aesthetic. The genre, right? This genre, Anti-Real didn't develop this. It's been around for years. However, the art that you see on screen and all the other pieces of art and who knows what else art that, again, there's a fourth map. We have no idea what art is on that map and what is in the rest of the game. We don't know because they're scrubbing it. However, based on just the aesthetic alone, you can't say, oh, it all belongs to Anti-Real because it doesn't. But perception is reality. And when the gaming community says, hey, you stole the whole thing, that's how it is. It doesn't mean it's fair. And listen, I'm telling you guys, I like to be fair and just say it how it is, but it doesn't matter. Fair doesn't exist when you're a consumer, because if the consumer does not like your product or has a negative thought about you or perception about you, they're going to go elsewhere, which is kind of what's going to happen to Marathon.
The point, I can't see it without seeing Anti-Real's influence.
Yeah.
And Bungie is going to need to contend with the fact that their studio has now been given the nickname Art Raiders, making the outlook grim for their extraction
Perception
shooter.
is reality.
Beyond that story, I started digging into Bungie a bit more after public statements were made from former employees. I reported on these yesterday as they described a work environment tainted by toxic management. Today, after...
That statement is nothing new. We've known this for years. In fact, there was the whole issue of like the sexual harassment. This goes way back, and nothing of this, like, everyone's surprised. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to the devs. Bitch, did you think it just stopped because people had a moment after the layoffs where people who got fired, you're like, screw it, I'm going to tell people the truth? Did you just think because those people left that all the bad behavior that was going on at Bungie just suddenly magically disappeared? No. No.
Speaking with a handful of ex-employees, the picture painted wasn't much brighter. One person said, the solution lies in holding leadership accountable. Another ex-employee...
I know I'm stopping a lot, but I'm reading the quote. The solution lies in holding leadership accountable. Remove you can apply that to everything. Hell, I worked at Walmart in retail for electronics, and I thought the same thing. Leader, you could literally, this is a statement that's applicable to like across the gaming sphere and just life in general. The solution lies in holding leadership accountable. Duh. Duh.
He said, I hope they get consolidated into Sony. That's the path forward.
Okay, we're going quote by quote because I haven't seen these quotes. I hope they get consolidated in Sony. That's the path forward. I agree. I know there's a lot of people who are trying to play on people's empathy. They're doing emotional manipulation. They're trying to tug at your heart. I'm sorry. Everyone owns a phone. And a lot of these batteries, the material is mined with children's slaves or factories with children's slaves. Like there's a lot of unethical shit that we have from electronics and all this stuff and clothes. Do you think people give a shit? No. Does it mean it's not bad? No, I'm not saying that's not bad, but I'm saying the whole I'm going to tug at your heart because real people are involved. Well, real people are involved in my job, and we have to deal with this bullshit. And here's the reality. Here's the truth. No one is holding these people hostages. Not a single person. They can leave. They can go away, which a lot of people have. We've seen a lot of talented artists and not artists, but developers and key roles in Bungie just walk away because they didn't want to deal with the bullshit anymore. There it is. I do not feel empathy to anyone who continues to allow themselves to get punched in the nuts. And that's very funny coming from someone like me who continues to play Destiny. But I do it because I literally am reporting a lot of what's going on. So it's entertainment when I'm being punched in the nuts. It's not entertainment when the developers, their livelihood is on the line. My livelihood is not on the line playing Destiny. The livelihood of every Bungie developer is always on the line. And the fact that we continue to hear these emotional pleas of, oh, well, if the company goes down, Sag, I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a very hot take. Leadership is like cockroaches at Bungie. The only way to get rid of them is to burn the whole thing down. And yes, I absolutely want Bungie to crash and burn. And I think a good way is for Sony to absorb them. Take all the good devs, get rid of anything that has leadership, throw them out the door. I don't care if they're good or bad. Get rid of it. Clean slate. Take your devs, put them in Sony, give them a job, and let's move the fuck on. I don't give a shit about your emotional pleas. It is manipulative and it is wrong. As a consumer, you buy a product. You don't buy a product to have your heartstrings tugged on. They are a business, a $1 billion business. You got a job because this is your job to make a product that consumers want. You don't make games just to make games. You don't make games like to be best friends with the gamers. Make sure there's developers that care about the gamers, like Power World developers and what was it, Baldur's Gate. Like they're indie devs. There's a lot more to them. But when you're looking at a $1 billion company, they're there to make games for money. And I'm not putting every developer. I'm sure there are developers that do generally want to make games that they love and they want others to love, and they want to make stuff that the community will love. But at the bottom dollar, you sign a contract to work at a job to do a job. And that job is to make money, especially when it's a corporate job. Your job is to make a product to make money for the company. And if you don't like it, you should leave, which we know that there's a lot of bad behaviors. And so my thing is burn the whole thing, consolidate, keep the good devs, get rid of leadership. I know a little mini rant, but I'm just tired of seeing this emotional manipulation going on online from Destiny content creators and all this other bullshit. Like, I don't give a shit. And most people in the gaming sphere don't either.
Since 2020.
And when I say that, I can be empathetic to someone losing their job or being in fear, but you make a mental choice to continue to stay. Like, there's shit, and you can leave, or you can continue to stand in shit. They continue to choose to sit in shit. That is your fault.
Bungie has reduced their headcount by roughly 320 employees. And that number doesn't include the 155 roles that were integrated into Sony or the departures of senior staff who I'm guessing were given a payday as they exited the company.
Of course, yeah.
The internal picture painted was one of a cool kids club where you were either agreeing with leadership's vision or you were put on a list, berated publicly, and told your ideas didn't matter. If they didn't think of it, it wasn't worth doing, one ex-employee told me.
Which makes a lot of sense from what we've seen on like the decisions. Last time we had leaks come out, it was based off layoffs. The employees said that they begged Bungie leaders to do certain things in hope, especially like the final shape in that, in hopes to make a game or a product that people wanted to play. As you can tell, the leadership wanted to just make money. And that's what I'm saying. The only way to get rid of these cockroaches is to burn the whole fucking thing down. Not like literally. Don't literally set the Bungie building on fire.
Another claimed leaders were toxic and shut down creatives on a core level.
Wow.
Which
we've heard this before.
The unfortunate story we heard yesterday. The kind of ideas that I'm being told leadership pitched aren't surprising, but are concerning as a longtime player and fan of Bungie. In one meeting, adding a subscription to Destiny was brought up only to be vehemently shut down by...
I saw the quote on Twitter. Subscription services only work for, like, we're talking about like for games, for MMOs, like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, I think, Elder Scrolls Online. Hell, even like you can pay for like membership for RuneScape. Those work because those are real MMOs. Destiny's not an MMO. It's a looter shooter with a Halloween mask that says MMO. There are so many fundamental things that are lacking, like trading, the most basic things in the game. And the currency is god awful. Like, you look at any actual MMO, the currency is well balanced. Destiny is intentionally marked in a way that it forces retention. Like, every aspect of the currency is gated to force you to continue to play and farm out useless bullshit. Like, it's very anti-MMO.
Staff. Another former employee claimed there was a concern about Trials of Osiris PvP armor being too attractive with its glow effect. The worry was that it was too good and would impact Eververse sales. The Eververse, for those who don't know, is the store where you convert real money into silver and then purchase in-game cosmetics. Every
time I talk about raid armor and dungeon armor, and I give like a brutally honest review, and I shit on the armor, I say this is some god-awful fucking armor. It is because they want it to be worse than what they're putting in the Eververse store. Even paid fucking product like Dungeons and Raids, they make intentionally worse because they want you to spend more money in the store. because they're greedy. And we have confirmation that that's true because literally in order to access trials, you have to buy the most recent expansion, I believe, or a expansion to play trials. It's not free anymore. You have to be able to get buy the expansion to have to unlock it, which means you're essentially, they're like, hey, trials armor. Sorry, that's too good. The glows are too cool, even though they're really shitty, which makes sense why now instead of having glows unlocked permanently, they're now on rotation. Like you do it every week or you just lose the glow, which that's probably where that came from. It never made sense. It was really stupid. I think it's still stupid, but it makes sense why it's not permanent and it's a temporary thing because they don't want it to impact sales because glows are cool. But Bungie doesn't give a shit, or at least the ones running the show. And guess what? When I talk about Bungie, the leaders run the show, so it is a decision made by the entire company. The little guys don't get a choice. So I shit on Bungie because everyone's along for the ride. Whether they signed up, no, they did sign up for it because they signed a contract and they continue to stay in that company. So they allow themselves to go on the ride.
Another ex-employee also recounted a meeting where staff was given a huge monetization scolding. Everything happening to Bungie is because of greed, another employee said.
Wow.
Clearly the state of Destiny 2, and therefore Bungie was and still is at a critical point in their history. Rumors continue to swirl since this turmoil began in 2023. Claims swirling like the rumor that leaders were given multi-million-dollar penthouses to use as crash pads, something many former employees.
We got crash pads, we've got cars, baby. Keep it going.
Believed Bungie was footing the bill for. And if that was the story being told internally, it's easy to see why a lack of competitive pay, cut corners, and needed positions never being filled led to many seeking new employment. Bungie's problems stem from a lack of player empathy, disconnected leadership, and a corporate-first culture.
Bungie's problems stem from a lack of player empathy. It is not the player's job to give a shit about yours. They give you money for a service. That is it. I don't go to McDonald's or Burger King or pizza or whatever to have a shittier product. And then for you to give me your sob story. I'm sorry. I didn't make your pizza correctly. My husband died. I could be empathetic, but why the fuck are you working? If you choose to continue to work, that is a you choice. I still demand a good product because I'm paying for it. I can be empathetic, but at the same time, your decision doesn't make sense. Oh, Bungie's the leaders are shitting on us and life, it's a toxic work environment. Then why the fuck are you still working there? I'm sorry. It is not the consumer or the player's job to be empathetic for your bullshit. You are a grown-ass adult. Make grown-up decisions. If it is that bad, fucking leave. Guess what? If everyone leaves Bungie, then guess what happens? The company goes down and the leaders go down with it.
Former employee said. Thankfully, when pressed to talk about the positive impact, some names did come up. I do want to specify that I can thankfully say Jason Jones, for example, was one person I inquired about, and sources told me he wasn't around much, but on sabbatical for personal reasons.
Okay.
In addition, many felt Eric Osborne was a great leader who got a bad ending. Luis Villegas was also described as being well-liked, and Joe Blackburn, who left last year, cared like nobody else. But in addition to the good, I was told about the bad, and unprompted and universally, HR was highlighted as a major problem. Each person I spoke with expressed anger at a specific individual who has since left the company. Ex-employees claimed that HR was working in their own interest, and there were accusations that issues of harassment were being covered up so that HR could get a multi-million-dollar exit.
Isn't that interesting that a while back we had this whole harassment and sexual harassment, and everyone thought, oh, Sony's taking over. Chris Barrett's getting fired. They're firing people. This problem's going to be resolved. And now we're doing it again a year later. And surprise, nothing's changed. Who would have thought? Did you think it was going to change? I didn't.
To give you some context, about just how much that Sony deal was worth to employees, we can glean a bit from the Christopher Barrett lawsuit against Bungie. There, we can see that he was set to make $84 million. Due to the status of the HR person in question, that number wasn't $84 million, but one employee estimated they were due around $5 million. Former staff described being closely monitored on social media, not just for commenting about layoffs or company issues, but also for things as simple as promoting the work they had done at Bungie.
Damn. You can't talk shit about us, but you also can't. They're trying to stop them from casting the fishing rod to see if anyone else will catch them. Like, I'm gonna go for the bait. I'm gonna pull you in. I want you working on my team. Bungie's like, no. You can't advertise yourself. No. We can't have that. No. We own you. I'm sorry. I would quit in a fucking heartbeat. If you're telling me that they were like, no, you can't advertise yourself. Like, what do you mean?
If you did speak out publicly about either a personal issue or you promoted your own work, you could expect an email as soon as 15 minutes later to hit your inbox, one person claimed. Employees.
Isn't that interesting that people inside criticizing Bungie got called, essentially they got the Bungie ball fondler treatment. We're like, you can't criticize Bungie. You can't do that. Even Bungie. It is so funny. That explains why some of the Destiny community is the way it is, because Bungie's the same way. You can't criticize us. No, you can't. No. It is hilarious how identical that some of the Destiny community is with Bungie leadership. Both of them are horrible, garbage people. Just remember that. That's my new logo. It's like, you're just as bad as Bungie leadership. I'm so going to use that to piss people off because it's true. All right. Employees were warned against promoting themselves publicly. Yeah, that's too far.
Were warned against promoting themselves publicly, one ex-employee said. And as for the legacy issues, one guessed, the problems have just shifted to Marathon instead. Ironically, the one thing that helped the situation was Marathon, mostly because leaders who were difficult to work with at Bungie were moved to work on Marathon. But that also meant
all the shitheads that the devs hated, they're now on Marathon, which explains why Marathon's in the state that it is. All the bad, which is kind of funny because that means less of the bad leadership is on Destiny, but Destiny's still a shit show. But Marathon is the way it is because of the leadership. That is hilarious. Marathon is cooked.
Employees, such as those from the Sony side, with little or no game development experience, took that place. And all of this has caused structural issues that severely undermine the studio's culture, decision-making, and the final product.
There it is.
Games weren't games anymore. They were products. Players weren't players anymore. They were customers. And that subtle tonal.
Well, I even say that we're customers, we're consumers. But yeah, I mean, even Bungie's treating you like like selling you a product. So if they're going to do that from that point of view, then I'm going to focus on that point of view. Like, my job is not to be empathetic to someone who's trying to sell me a product. Sorry, I'm going to be critical.
Shift was felt. Now, we've all seen the fallout from the Sony Bungie deal and Bungie's 45% revenue miss. A miss like that means developer jobs and cut corners, but even the former employees feel like a lot of us do. They just want to see Bungie do better. One former employee said, "It makes me sad to know there are so many talented people that can make great things, but are still answering to management that can't stop shooting themselves in the foot. They make bad decision after bad decision. It's not even surprising when a news story breaks."
They're not wrong, but that's what I'm saying. The only way to get rid of these cockroaches is to burn it to the ground. And even then, let's be honest, even then, they get out of the fire because they get all that cash at the end. But I'm telling you, you got to do whatever you can to get rid of the cockroaches, because they're nothing. We've had all this drama and these bad decisions, and you think that just the things are going to change. Oh, I could be empathetical to the developers, but it's not going to fucking change anything, because unless something fails, unless the company itself goes under, these people will continue the same behaviors because no one, even Sony, is holding these people accountable.
Another lamented, I just want the devs to be okay. I tweeted this publicly a few years back, and I'm saying this is my personal take on the whole situation. The buck stops with leadership, and that leader is CEO Pete Parsons. After hearing this, I stand by my statement made in frustration that said it's clear Bungie can't succeed with him at the helm. And every time we hear a new story, that becomes even more clear. I know a lot of people at Bungie, and I agree that I want them to be okay. But something quite clearly needs to change. Sony knows this. Bungie knows this. I think we all know this too. And at this point, that change is either going to happen or Bungie as we know it is done. Maybe it already is. Originally, this all kicked off because of an art plagiarism scandal, and I wanted to provide an update. The Reed Southern allegation involved the leaked concept for Destiny that used his work.
5 times or 6 times, I think, now that they've apparently, because there was like a Halloween set, apparently. I guess that's rumored, but this is very obvious.
He said, I was never contacted by anyone at Bungie over it. It's been 13 years, so my memory is a bit fuzzy, but I've been led to believe that it was outside marketing or a contractor or something doing internal pitch work. It was a leak, so it's likely it was never meant to see the light of day, whether it was Bungie's work or a contractor's, but I've never been given an official explanation. Tofu Bunny was all about the Nerf gun that lifted their concept.
Is he just, I'm going to stop for time. Okay. Yeah, this is all just the same. It's all just the same stuff, right?
They handled everything smoothly and were very polite, respectful.
Yeah, I already know about all this.
Part of the game style. This is much bigger. And
yeah, so essentially what they're saying is this is a 1-for-1 versus what they did to me, which is a third party. Like, yeah, that's great.
One piece that was used. Relay 314's case has been discussed publicly. Bungie did credit him for his work. Cosmo said, depiction of
okay, so this is just covering all the art.
Comment from, but she told Gene Park at the Washington Post that the response this time has been overwhelmingly understanding, and I'm extremely thankful for the support. Okay. All in all, this whole story is really unfortunate, and I hope Bungie does figure out what's going on at their company, but things aren't looking great right now. If you are one of the people who spoke to me and watch the members who support me. Sorry,
I cut through because we're running a little out of time, and it just seems like it's stuff that I've seen and it's being regurgitated. I mean, to a certain point, even I get tired of regurgitation, but this is stuff that I haven't gone through. So I want to focus on that. Again, call me an asshole, but I'm speaking the truth. Let's be honest. The people like to live on the holier, higher than thou morality, emotional bullshit. I will be honest. Even as a counselor, there's times where I can be empathetic, but then I see the bullshit and I'm going to call it out. I'm not going to sit there and just keep my heart on the sleeve. No, I live in the real world where sometimes people have bad things happen to them and they allow it. They allow it to happen. And I believe developers have a choice. No one forces you into a job. Yes, you may love that job. You don't want to lose that job, but you have to make a risk reward assessment. And that's how I live my life. Risk reward. What am I losing? Mental health? Am I losing my sanity? What is the reward? Am I achieving my goals in life? Am I happy? Am I healthy? And for a lot of these things that have been coming out, it's a toxic environment. People aren't listening. They don't feel like their creativity is being diminished and locked down. Like they're not even able to do the things that they want to do or the things that the community wants to do. So at that point, what's the point of staying there if you're not even meeting your own goals and desires? At that point, you're just going for a paycheck, in which case I'm not going to be empathetic for that, because you could do that doing like DoorDash. Like, I'm sorry. You're selling a product. Your job is to sell a product. Do that first. I put the fries in the bag. I'm sorry. I'm not here for your life story. Put the fries in the bag. And funny enough, a lot of people that want to probably defend Bungie are the people who are putting fries in the bag. Again, I speak the truth. Most people, like, like to play holier than thou, but they turn a blind eye to so many other things that you don't care. You like to care. You like to give your vision of caring, but you don't. You don't really give a shit. And my thing is, burn the fucking business to the ground. Take out Bungie completely. Take it out back. Shoot it. And Sony should absorb all the good devs, or as many as they can, and get rid of every version of leadership. Just throw it out the window. It's time. Bungie has had its time through Microsoft, through Activision, being by itself, and now through Sony. It is time to throw the baby in the bathwater out. Just whoop. There you go. And start fresh. That's my thoughts. I know it's going to piss some people off. I don't care. Because guess what? I've lived multiple jobs going through college. If I didn't like leadership, or I had issues, or I didn't like the job, or I wasn't happy with it, I fucking left. Where there's a way, there's a will. And it may not be your dream job, but guess what? You have to think of what's best for your mental health. If you are actively sacrificing your mental health and your happiness because you're doing your dream job, guess what? It's not a dream. It's a nightmare. Anyways, I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor dropping hard facts. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Until next time, game out. Huzzah.